when the lights go out for the night, or when the day awakens and we bustle about in our cars. Every year, a cycle of life drama is being played out underwater. It is the fall run of Chinook salmon, followed by the winter return of steelhead trout to the waters of their birth, the American River. They're going home. And like determined Olympians, they give everything, holding nothing back. Salmon spend 2 to 4 years in the ocean, traveling the high seas. In the ocean, it's a magnificent silver bullet. It's a beautiful-looking fish. But when they head out to sea, where do they go? It's a journey that's often thousands of miles up and down the coast, sometimes all the way to Alaska. After ranging out in the Pacific Ocean and feasting to store up energy, they find their way back through the Golden Gate. They have a sense of smell so keen, a salmon or steelhead can recognize a drop of water from their own river. They know when it's the right time to return home to spawn. They must navigate through San Francisco Bay. They have to go through the pollution, the landfills, and the gamut of other activity that happens there. They make their way through the many channels and inlets of the Delta, making the adjustment from salt to fresh water. At last, they find the Sacramento River. Then they must know just the right turn to make to enter the American River. And they continue, driving themselves further and further up the river. The journey can take several months. Except for the Nimbus and Folsom dams, they could continue up the river to spawn. If the spring run was still happening, they could travel another 100 miles or so high up in the mountains above Placerville. Salmon and steelhead have the ability to locate their original home close to the place where their life began. And if they don't find it because of a dam or other obstacles, they just keep trying. They need water that's cooler than 65 degrees and free of silt or pollution. Since they stop feeding once they enter fresh water and it's a rough journey, some of them look pretty beat up. As they come to the end of their lives, their color changes and the males get a hooked jaw. When the time is right for spawning, male salmon jockey for position and fight for the right to hover near the nest that a female makes in the gravel. They move in quickly to fertilize the eggs. While steelhead trout may return to the river several times, the salmon put all their energy into one major event. Then both the males and females die. The dead fish provide food for a host of other organisms in the river. Then the cycle begins again. While one female salmon can lay more than 5,000 eggs, still the odds are slim. Only 1 or 2 in 1,000 survive to grow into an adult salmon that reproduces. Funded by the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation and operated by the California Department of Fish and Game, Nimbus Fish Hatchery partly makes up for the loss of all but the 7 remaining miles of spawning grounds by raising over 4 million salmon and 500,000 steelhead each year.
Here we are during the fall. We've opened up, the fish are back, and it's an exciting time. We get a chance to participate in what is going on here with the spawning of the Chinook salmon. To see them coming up the ladder is something that the further we become urbanized, the more distant we are from the natural environment, and we lose a feeling of that power. It's almost the reoccurrence of the seasons and the cycle of life, really, to me.
We try to get them where they're pretty much out before we bring them up because they're just too strong to hold on to when they're real lively. Then we just go through them, sort the fish, try to find out which ones are green, which ones are ready to go.
Boy! Jack! Jack!
They're very powerful fish. They'll slap you pretty hard if they hit you with the tail. They can knock you out pretty easy. There's been people that's had stitches and their nose broken before, so you just got to be careful when you handle the fish.
It's a lot of fun. We all enjoy it. That's what we look forward to every year, to wrestle with the big fish and not get slapped.
To see the ripeness on this female, she's still hard. There's no eggs being expelled, so she's still green and not ready to spawn yet. All right, this fish is ripe. If you can notice, she's expelling eggs. The other, I'm gonna have to. Okay, now I'm gonna take her over and kill this fish. At this point, we have a ripe fish, so we use a knife. Yes, kill boy.
They're going to die anyhow. When they die here, it's a quicker death. They're not going to linger like they would in the river after spawning naturally. It can be a little bit violent at times, but that's what we have to do to help propagate the species.
You only take the amount of eggs that are ready to go. You can see these are still attached, so they're probably not quite ripe and ready to, so you don't need to take those. All right, there's our jack.
Okay, so I got the eggs in there.
Mix them up like that by hand, they're fertilized. Make sure you record that as a girl and a jack. Do you know what a sea lion looks like?
Yeah. A sea lion?
Sea lion tried to grab this fish, and it got away. That's what those are. Those are, you know, on a dog that has those big canine teeth, those are the teeth marks.
Which is cool.
It's not an easy life that these fish live. Just by viewing the scars on them, you can get an idea of what it must have been like in the ocean. We take the eggs, even though it's unfortunate that we have to have a hatchery such as this, it's a sign of the times. It's a balance between the needs of society and the needs of wildlife.
After spending some time in trays, the eggs are incubated in a hatching jar.
Water upwells through the eggs, which simulates very similar to what happens to them when a fish digs a nest or a redd. This is a very similar system that we have here, what we call a hatching jar.
We can put approximately probably 70,000 eggs into that, which will turn into fish. As they get closer to hatching out, they expand a little bit, so they're getting bigger. Once they start to hatch, we'll actually tip the jar over, release all the fish inside here, and then they'll live in here until they get to the point that we take them outside to the outside raceway.
They'll be kept in raceways until they grow up and are ready to be released. The steelhead in the winter and the salmon in the spring. Just like their ancestors, they make their way out to the ocean. Sometimes they get caught in the pumps of the complicated water project channels, although some places are now installing screens to protect them. With eggs provided by the Nimbus Hatchery and through a program run by local fishing clubs, children are learning a lot from the process of feeding and hatching their own baby steelhead. Then, when the time is right, they release them into the river.
Gabriella, Princess, Priscilla, who had Priscilla?
They all think that they know exactly which is theirs.
I don't want to say goodbye to Suki. I named mine King because he's big and he can swim fast.
They firmly believe that that is their steelhead and that's their baby they released today. And
Please yours back up just a little bit so they can watch the pieces, okay?
There's 4 of them. There. Somebody take this head.
the environment's very important to me, and I believe if I don't teach the kids about it, then they won't protect it. And we did things like we painted the storm drain, and the kids firmly believe that anything that goes inside the storm drain is going down to their steelhead that they released.
The health of the river has improved greatly since the time of the gold rush, when salmon and steelhead were nearly extinct because of silt from hydraulic mining. The release of water from the dam is managed with greater attention to maintaining flow and cooler temperatures. Still, there are ongoing threats, like urban runoff, such as motor oil or pesticides, and the diversion of fresh water for agriculture. Many people enjoy the bounty of the river and are involved in protecting its waters and wildlife. Perhaps because the salmon and steelhead swim in the midst of a large metropolitan area, there's a growing awareness of just how important these great ancient fishes are. When many species of fish and animals are quietly slipping away into extinction, those bold ones that remain are all the more precious, symbols of the health of the watershed and the precarious nature of our own existence. Their survival is in our hands.